Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins cornerback situation has quickly gone from stable to dire following the devastating news that starting corner Katakohu will miss the entire 2025 season due to a knee injury sustained during training camp. Kohu wasn't just another name in the defensive backfield. He was the anchor, the only cornerback heading into camp who had his starting job firmly secured. This loss can't be overstated. Compounding the issue is the ACL tear suffered by Artie Burns, a veteran who was pushing hard for a starting role himself. With both sidelined indefinitely, Miami has already scrambled to bolster its cornerback group, signing veterans Cornell Armstrong, Mike Hilton, and Jack Jones. While Armstrong figures to be a depth and special teams piece, Hilton and Jones could see starting reps. Jones is expected to slot in outside and Hilton inside, but even with those additions, Miami's cornerback room remains one of the weakest in the NFL. The urgency to add another veteran is real. Despite their recent moves, the Dolphins find themselves in a vulnerable position defensively. It's not just about replacing bodies, it's about regaining any semblance of trust in their secondary. Hilton has been a reliable slot corner throughout his career, and Jones has flashed potential as a boundary corner, but neither represents a solution that inspires long-term confidence. Competing for jobs are young, unproven talents like Storm Duck, Cam Smith, Kendall Sheffield, and Ethan Barner. Smith, a second-round pick in 2023, still hasn't lived up to expectations, and Sheffield's inability to practice doesn't help matters. While it's good to have youthful depth banking on this group to perform at a high level, all season is a massive gamble. The Dolphins have made clear they're not averse to veteran signings. They just haven't found the right one yet. Now, with their cornerback depth eroding quickly, they'll need to scan the market again. Rasul Douglas stands out as the most logical and immediate option for Miami, especially considering that the team reportedly had a standing offer for him before opting to bring in Hilton and Jones. Douglas started 15 games for the Buffalo Bills last year and brings both pedigree and production to the table. With 43 tackles, 5 passes defended, and a forced fumble in 2024, his experience is valuable. However, there are serious concerns about his recent performance. For the first time since 2020, Douglas failed to record an interception, a significant red flag for a player known as a ball hawk throughout his career. Even more concerning were his career highs in passer rating, allowed 116.9 and penalties committed 10. His regression was so alarming that the Bills drafted his replacement, Maxwell Hairston, in the first round. Douglas might be familiar with the Dolphins system and on their radar, but he would need a bounce-back year to justify the investment. Asante Samuel Jr. is another compelling name, and his fit with the Dolphins' defensive philosophy could make him a standout addition. Samuel previously played under Jesse Minter, a defensive coordinator who shares schematic roots with Miami's current DC Anthony Weaver. This continuity would make his transition relatively smooth. Statistically, Samuel has been productive when healthy, registering 7 interceptions, 22 pass breakups, and solid passer ratings against him over the past few years. He's agile, instinctual, and comfortable in both man and zone coverage, making him a versatile weapon in any secondary. The problem, however, lies in his durability. Samuel missed nearly all of the 2024 season due to a shoulder injury and is currently recovering from neck surgery. For a Dolphins team already plagued by injuries in the secondary, adding another high-risk player could be a major misstep. There's also some bad blood to consider. His father publicly criticized the Dolphins front office recently, which might complicate negotiations. Then there's Stephon Gilmore, a seasoned veteran who, while past his prime, still represents a high floor option. Gilmore's age, he'll be 35 in September, might raise some eyebrows, but his recent durability and consistent play suggest he still has gas left in the tank. He started 15 games for the Minnesota Vikings last season, recording 1 interception and 9 passes defended while allowing a passer rating of just 94.1. While those aren't elite numbers, they're solid and reflect a corner who understands his limitations and plays smart football. Gilmore isn't the lockdown man defender he once was, but if the Dolphins are planning to implement more zone coverage, a sensible approach given their personnel, then Gilmore could fit like a glove. He brings leadership instincts and a competitive edge. His tape from 2024 was certainly more encouraging than Douglas, and his history of staying on the field gives him a leg up on someone like Samuel. Michael Davis could be an under-Theradar option. He brings starting experience from his time with the Los Angeles Chargers, where he showed flashes of being a reliable contributor from 2020 to 2022. Unfortunately, his 2023 campaign was a different story. Playing for the Washington Commanders, Davis only started 2 games and logged minimal snaps across the season. He didn't record an interception and managed just 1 pass breakup while allowing a passer rating of 96.1. That's not disastrous. But it doesn't scream reliability either, especially when considering how lackluster Washington's secondary was. Davis's struggles in 2023 combined with the fact he failed to earn a regular role on a weak defense make him a risky choice. That said, if Miami is looking for a depth option who might rebound in a more favorable scheme, Davis could be a worthwhile flyer. His skill set fits zone schemes, and he's shown competence when placed in the right environment. C.J. Henderson represents the most puzzling yet telling name linked to the Dolphins. The team recently brought him in for a workout, but ultimately chose to sign Armstrong instead, signaling just how far Henderson's stock has fallen. Once viewed as a can't-miss first-round pick, Henderson has been a massive disappointment across multiple franchises. He started 27 games across stints with Jacksonville and Carolina, but has failed to leave a lasting impression anywhere. After Carolina declined his 5th-year option, Henderson bounced to Houston, where he didn't make the final roster, and eventually found himself buried on Pittsburgh's practice squad. The last time he saw meaningful action was back in 2019, where he logged 7 starts, but was largely ineffective. With a passer rating allowed of 106.8 and no interceptions that season, Henderson hardly inspires confidence. The fact Miami even considered him suggests they're growing desperate, though he should remain a last resort option if all else fails. Even if the Dolphins sign another veteran, there's no guarantee the situation improves dramatically. Coho's injury created a massive vacuum in both production and leadership, and his absence will force younger players into much larger roles than previously expected. Miami now faces a difficult balancing act. They must find a way to stay competitive without overcommitting resources to players who might only offer marginal improvements. With the AFC East looking as competitive as ever, and teams like the Bills and Jets boasting elite defensive backfields, Miami can't afford to have a glaring hole in their secondary. Whether they opt for a high upside risk like Samuel Esteti, veteran like Gilmore, or a familiar name like Douglas, the margin for error is shrinking quickly. Whoever they choose must contribute immediately because there's simply no room left for experiments. This defense has been asked to hold strong under pressure, and without reinforcements, cracks will only deepen. Miami's front office must also consider the long-term implications of any potential signing. Adding a short-term fix like Gilmore or Douglas might help plug the gap for 2025, but it does little to solve ongoing concerns about cornerback depth and durability. Investing in someone like Samuel, if healthy, could offer the chance at long-term stability, but it carries significantly more risk. These decisions become even more complicated when factoring in cap space, locker room chemistry, and scheme fit. Coach Mike McDaniel and general manager Chris Greer must navigate all of these factors delicately while keeping playoff aspirations alive. That's a tough needle to thread. This Dolphins roster is talented enough elsewhere, especially on offense, to remain competitive, but in the pass-heavy NFL, having a subpar cornerback room is a recipe for disaster. Any misstep here could not only derail their 2025 season, but also undermine their long-term defensive rebuild. Ultimately, what happens next will speak volumes about how the Dolphins view their short-term ceiling and long-term outlook. Do they swing for the fences and try to land a big name hoping for a bounce-back season? Or do they opt for a safer, lower upside route that minimizes risk but possibly limits their potential? The decision won't be easy, but it must come quickly. Training camp. Reps are precious, and every day without a proper replacement for Kohu puts the defense further behind schedule. The front office knows this, and fans will be watching closely. Regardless of which path they take, the Dolphins must do something. Standing pat isn't an option. With the AFC loaded with offensive firepower, especially a quarterback, any weakness in the secondary will be exploited. Kohu's injury changed the calculus in Miami. Now it's up to leadership to prove they can adapt and find the reinforcements needed to stay in the playoff hunt. Still with us, then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments what's your take on the Fins this week. In what's shaping up to be one of the most shocking whispers of the offseason, an explosive rumor is spreading like wildfire across NFL circles. The Miami Dolphins may have quietly signed none other than Christian Gonzalez, the rising star, cornerback from the New England Patriots. While no official confirmation has been released by either franchise, insiders close to the situation are pointing to a series of subtle social media clues, increased activity around both teams' front offices, and even a cryptic Instagram story posted by Gonzalez himself that's fanned the flames of speculation. If this move proves true, it could send shockwaves through the AFC East and mark a significant power shift in the division's defensive landscape. Dolphins fans, already riding high on the team's recent resurgence, could soon be cheering the arrival of a player widely seen as a future All-Pro talent and a long-term answer to their secondary woes. Christian Gonzalez, just 1 year removed from being a first-round draft pick by the Patriots, was one of the few bright spots in New England's otherwise rocky 2024 season. He came out of Oregon with elite physical traits, a polished technique, and a football IQ that belied his age. His rookie season started with fireworks, shutting down top-tier wide receivers and flashing the kind of shutdown potential usually reserved for seasoned veterans. Unfortunately, injuries cut his season short, but even in that abbreviated debut, Gonzalez left enough of an impression to be regarded as one of the league's top young corners. That makes this rumored move to the Dolphins even more stunning. It's not every day you see Bill Belichick, or whoever's assumed his role, part ways with a potential franchise cornerstone so early in his development. So if there's truth to this rumor, questions must be asked about why New England would even consider letting him go. Some league insiders are suggesting the Patriots' decision may stem from behind-the-scenes disagreements, possibly contract-related, or even friction with new defensive philosophies being installed in the post-Belichick era. The Patriots, now under a different leadership structure, might be moving in a direction that doesn't align with Gonzalez's playing style or career priorities. It's also possible that Gonzalez, despite publicly appearing loyal to the Patriots, has quietly grown disillusioned with the team's lack of competitiveness and instability. The Dolphins, on the other hand, are trending upward, both in terms of personnel and playoff aspirations, with Vic Fangio's aggressive scheme now cemented into the Dolphins' identity. Adding a young, long, and athletic corner like Gonzalez could be a strategic masterstroke. It's a perfect schematic fit. And if the deal includes draft picks or veterans going the other way, we could be looking at a true blockbuster in the making. For Miami, this potential acquisition addresses what has been a nagging concern: depth and consistency in the secondary. With Xavier Howard aging and dealing with injuries, and Jalen Ramsey still working his way back to peak form, the Dolphins' back end needed youth and leadership. Gonzalez could offer both. Imagine a cornerback trio of Ramsey, Gonzalez, and Kader Kohu, a mixture of experience, physicality, and pure athleticism that could rival any group in the NFL. Not only would it allow the Dolphins to match up better against pass-heavy offenses like Buffalo and Kansas City, but it also adds swagger and fire to a defense that feeds off energy. Christian Gonzalez isn't just another piece. He could be the piece. Someone who elevates not just the coverage, but the culture. His work ethic, maturity, and confidence could set a new tone in Miami's locker room, especially for younger players still finding their identity. If this rumor proves legitimate, it also has major implications for the rest of the AFC East. The Bills are recalibrating their roster, the Jets are clinging to Aaron Rodgers' twilight years, and the Patriots seem to be in full-blown rebuild mode. That leaves Miami with a clear window, and moves like this, acquiring a future star at a premium position, are exactly how you capitalize on those rare championship opportunities. Christian Gonzalez might not have the household name recognition yet, but make no mistake, his ceiling is sky high. Scouts have compared him to Stephon Gilmore in his prime, with even more fluidity in man coverage. If the Dolphins have truly managed to pull off this move, It's the kind of roster boost that can push them from playoff contender to legitimate Super Bowl threat. And while there's still no official word, people are already watching Miami's training camp for sightings and listening for even the faintest hint of confirmation. Social media has been a breeding ground for this speculation. Eagle-eyed, fans noticed Gonzalez recently started following several Dolphins players, including Jalen Ramsey and Jevon Holland. In the age of digital breadcrumbs, that's rarely a coincidence. Add to that a mysterious dolphin emoji tweet, quickly deleted. Yes, and you've got a classic offseason breadcrumb trail. There's also chatter that an unnamed AFC East defensive back recently purchased property in South Florida. Fans have put two and two together, and though it's unconfirmed, the dots all seem to trace back to Gonzalez. Meanwhile, some Dolphins players have been posting cryptic reactions. Nothing overt, but enough to keep the rumor mill spinning. The excitement is palpable, even if it's all smoke for now. But where there's smoke in the NFL, there's often fire. And this rumor is burning bright. From a strategic standpoint, this rumored signing also fits the Dolphins' recent pattern of bold, aggressive moves. In the past 2 years, Miami has shown it's not afraid to take big swings. From the Tyreek Hill trade to the acquisition of Bradley Chubb and then bringing in Jalen Ramsey, they've consistently demonstrated a win-now mentality. Adding Christian Gonzalez would be yet another chess move in a grand strategy aimed squarely at dethroning the Chiefs and Bills. This is not a rebuild. This is not a retool. This is a full-on title chase. The kind of move where future draft capital becomes expendable in exchange for proven or high-ceiling talent. Gonzalez checks every box. Age, talent, versatility, and upside. He can cover the slot, play press, or hang back in zone. And with Fangio's complex system demanding cerebral corners, his intelligence might be just as valuable as his athleticism. One lingering question is how this rumored move might affect the Dolphins' salary cap situation. Christian Gonzalez is still on a rookie deal, which makes him immensely valuable in terms of cost-to-performance ratio. However, a move of this magnitude usually comes with long-term intentions. The Dolphins may already be planning to renegotiate and extend Gonzalez's contract, especially if he proves to be a foundational piece. That's the kind of foresight Miami's front office has been praised for in recent years. Still, juggling contracts for stars like Tua Tagovailoa or Tyreek Hill and others won't be easy. But if anyone can make the numbers work, it's general manager Chris Grail. His ability to manage both personnel and payroll has kept Miami competitive. And this rumored move, if true, would only further cement his reputation as one of the key, savviest executives in the league today. Meanwhile, reactions across the league are mixed, with some execs expressing disbelief that the Patriots would let such a talent go so soon. New England is notoriously tight-lipped, but even former players have chimed in, with some cryptic messages on X, formerly Twitter, hinting that changes are coming and nothing is sacred anymore. That could suggest deeper turmoil within the Patriots organization. Could Gonzalez have asked out? Was there a falling out with new coaches or teammates? Or is this just a classic example of the Dolphins outmaneuvering their rivals behind closed doors? Whatever the case, if Miami really pulled this off, the ripple effect could be massive, not just for the Dolphins and Patriots, but for the entire conference. Defensive coordinators would need to rethink game plans, and opposing quarterbacks might start circling their Miami matchup with dread. Christian Gonzalez is that kind of player. In the end, this is still just a rumor, but one with enough smoke, enough whispers, and enough movement to feel more real with each passing hour. Whether it's an insider leak, an intentional misdirection, or just a brilliant PR stunt, the buzz surrounding Christian Gonzalez's potential move to Miami is impossible to ignore. The Dolphins haven't made a peep officially, but the vibe around the facility is electric. Beat reporters are circling like sharks, and fans are refreshing their feeds every 5 minutes. If and when confirmation drops, it'll be one of the biggest stories of the year. Until then, the speculation only grows. One thing is clear, if this is even remotely true, Miami just leveled up, and the rest of the NFL better take notice. Christian Gonzalez in aqua and orange. It may not be confirmed yet, but in the minds of fans, the vision is already real. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.